Good evening, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google+. This is Rich again, back for your third and final video blog of the night for Wednesday, September 7th, 2016, around 7:24 in the evening in Billerica, Massachusetts. It's getting dark out now and it's cloudy, but those clouds will break tomorrow and Friday. Heat returns, humidity 90s. Could be the last 90-degree day of the year because fall is coming, and the Farmer's Almanac saying it's going to be a cold winter in New England. So better stock up on long sleeve shirts and jackets. Bring them out soon. Some news to report. Fire and Ice, the restaurant in Harvard Square in Cambridge, has announced it's shutting its doors for good on Sunday. This is a big blow to Harvard Square. This is the second time in 2 weeks that a good restaurant has left Harvard Square. Last week, Uno's left Harvard Square, and this Sunday, Fire and Ice is going to leave Harvard Square. There's a Fire and Ice in the Back Bay, and also in Providence, Rhode Island, and 2 in California. I ate at Fire and Ice once. It was a good place to eat. It was actually the last place I ever ate in Boston area for the time being, but that was 4.5 years ago. And also the USCO and the USOC and US Swimming has suspended swimmer Ryan Luch for 10 months for his incident at Rio in the gas station. Not good at all, and sad news to report in the world of the NHL. Former NHL defenseman Bob Daly passed away at the age of 63 after a long battle with cancer. So prayers to his family in this time of need. And that's about it on the news. My third and final video blog subject of the night is my personality profile. Tonight's personality profile is one of the most famous baseball announcers in history, the late, great Ernie Harwell. Ernie Harwell called Major League Baseball games for over 50 years, and he was a big baseball fan all his life. Ernie was born in Washington, Georgia, and he grew up in the Atlanta, Georgia area. He worked delivering newspapers for the Atlanta, Georgia, which was a big newspaper thing as a youngster, and he was an avid baseball fan. As a kid, he was the visiting team's bat boy for the Atlanta Crackers, which was a minor league baseball team, and he got into the games for free because of it, and he loved writing. He worked for the Sporting News at the age of 16 as a regional correspondent for the Southeast, reporting minor league baseball. And then he went to college, and he was part of a fraternity, and he wrote in the school newspaper. After he went to college, he worked for the Atlanta Constitution as a copy editor and a sports writer, and he fell in love with baseball again. He actually called the Atlanta Crackers the minor league baseball team in 1943 and 1948 as a play-by-play announcer. And during 3 years in the mid-1940s, Ernie served the United States Marine Corps. He fought in World War II. In 1948, Ernie Harwell left the Atlanta Crackers to start calling Major League Baseball games. He called the Brooklyn Dodgers for 3 years, 1948, 49, and 50 on the radio. Then he went to the Dodgers rivals, the New York Giants, and calling the Giants for about 5 years. Then he called Baltimore Orioles games in the late 1950s. And also Ernie called other sports, including the Masters golf tournament and pro and college football in the 1950s. So he was a very busy sports announcer during that time. Then, in 1960, Ernie signed on the air to become the Detroit Tigers play-by-play announcer, and for the next 42 years, except for 1 year, Ernie was the primary play-by-play announcer for the Tigers. He called many of the greatest moments in Tiger history. He called a few World Series, and also Ernie was a national baseball announcer in the postseason. He called 2 World Series and 2 All-Star games for NBC Radio in the 1950s, and later on in his later years, he called many American League Championship Series games and American League Division Series games on CBS Radio and ESPN Radio. He also did the CBS Radio Sports Baseball Game of the Week in the 1990s. Ernie was actually let go by the Detroit Tigers in 1991. He was going to be removed from the broadcast booth because the Tigers were going through different management, and they thought Ernie Harwell was old. That had a big uproar in the Detroit area because Ernie Harwell was an institution. And for 1 year in 1992, Ernie called a limited amount of baseball games for the California Angels, but in 1993, Ernie returned back to Detroit, and he called Tigers games for 10 more years. He started to slow down, and he basically, the final few years, just called home games. He retired in 2002. He wrote a book that year called Ernie Harwell, My 60 Years in Baseball. It was a great baseball book. I read it. I used to own it, but I got rid of it years ago when I was purging these books. I gave it to Got Books. And once Ernie retired, he stayed around baseball, making cameo appearances for the Detroit Tigers. In 2003, he called a half a game for ESPN when they were doing Legends series on Wednesday nights. He also made a cameo calling an inning of the 2005 All-Star game in Detroit. He also worked for Fox Sports Detroit a couple of times, calling an inning here and there, the radio when the Detroit Tigers were in the playoffs in 2006. And in his spare time, Ernie wrote popular music, and he won the Michigan Sportscaster of the Year 19 times. That's pretty amazing. And Ernie was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1981 in the Broadcasting Wings by the Ford Frick Award. In 2009, Ernie was diagnosed with an incurable cancer. It went to his butt duct area. They couldn't treat it, so he spent the final few months saying farewell. In September of 2009, he made his last appearance at Comerica Park in Detroit, and it was a send-off for Ernie. They did a couple of profiles for him on like Real Sports and the MLB Network. Ernie passed away in 2010. Ernie was such a legend in Detroit. He's probably the most famous play-by-play announcer in Detroit sports history. And that's about it on Ernie Harwell. And that's about it on these video blogs: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google+. Tomorrow, 3 more video blogs coming for you. First video blog will be about the former professional wrestling tag team, the Powers of Pain. Second video blog of the day will be about my take on fantasy sports. And the third and final video blog of the night is the personality profile. Tomorrow's personality profile is the co-anchor of Good Day 4 in Dallas, Texas, Lauren Prisbel, in my personality profile. And I always say, keep calm, everybody. And I'm a Julie Running guy. Molly Roseblood of WCCO accent has nice legs. Elizabeth Hart, so stunning, she's the best. Amy Swensy's awesome Amy. Linda Church of WPIX Channel 11 in New York is such a cool guy, and she's got the best legs in New York City. And Barbara Gibbs of ABC 11 has a sweet southern accent. And in the words of Dr. Thomas Sharkey, this action will not be tolerated. BMHS. And it's time for shut out, so good night.